Alright, so now we're going to put everything together in a proof and trying to prove that we have some congruent segments when we're given parallel lines. So first we're given that AD is parallel to BC. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that, well, they're parallel, but I'm also going to just kind of go like that with these, because we're going to talk about a transversal in a minute. But they are parallel lines, so we can also mark in our little parallel arrow guys right there. Alright, and then we're also given that angle ABD and angle CDB are right angles, and that's already marked for us in the picture. So those are right angles. Alright, so in our proof, we kind of put all of the givens up in the first line and just stated it as given, so that's starting us off. Next, we can go ahead and say that these angles that are right angles are congruent to each other. Because remember, if you have two right angles, you can say that they are congruent. So angle ABD is congruent to angle CDB. And that's from your right angle theorem. Alright. Now, in order for us to prove that we have these two congruent sides, I mean, notice we do have two triangles here. So we're looking for, is this a side, 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 or one of those? So the next thing we can say is you got this shared side, BD, that's congruent to itself. So BD is congruent to BD, and that's our reflexive property. Alright, so far we have a congruent side and a congruent angle. We need one more thing to say that the triangles are congruent so that we can use our CP/CTC. Alright, so here's where we want to think about, we've got parallel lines, and do you see this line right here is kind of going through those? That's your transversal. So with that transversal, I want to focus on this angle from this triangle and this angle from that triangle. Now they're on opposite sides of the transversal, and they're on the interior of our parallel lines. So those are alternate interior angles. And what do you know about alternate interior angles? They're congruent to each other. So we can go ahead and state that congruency next. We can say that angle ADB is congruent to angle CBD. And then our given, or I'm sorry, the reason is just that alternate interior, that's an I, alternate interior angles are congruent. Alright, so now we have this angle and this angle. So we've got an angle, another angle, and an included side. So we have angle, side, angle. That's enough for us to say that the triangles are congruent. So we're going to say triangle ABD is congruent to triangle CDB, and that's from our angle, side, angle congruency. And then because we have congruent triangles, then all the corresponding parts are congruent, so we're ready to state that AB is congruent to CD, and our reason is CPCTC.